Karen here, and I'm a yoga instructor at Butler University's HRC. So thanks so much for joining me for yoga today. And what we're going to do is a yoga practice that should serve to ground you, we call it. So hopefully you'll feel supported by these poses, you'll feel strong, you'll feel solid, and you'll feel ready to face whatever the day might bring. So let's go ahead and get started. If you have some yoga props around the house, great. If not, you can use other items. So we may be using some blocks, yoga blocks on either side of the mat, short end of the mat. If you don't have blocks, you can use nice thick books for extra support on either side of the mat. And we've also got a yoga strap here, but you could use a scarf or a towel or a tie. So we'll be using that near the end. And then one more thing, just an extra support, could be a chair. At the end, the spoiler here, we're gonna actually be putting our legs up on something. So yeah, a stool, ottoman, or a nice comfy chair with some space in front of it would be great. So let's go ahead and get started in our practice today. So speaking of feeling supported, we're going to start by laying on our bellies and folding our forearms right in front here. And then we're going to simply place our forehead down somewhere on the forearms, just wherever you're comfortable. This is called crocodile pose, and traditionally we turn the toes outward here. Maybe take the legs a little bit wider than you normally would. But if that's not comfortable, just do something that feels comfortable in the legs. And begin to breathe deeply. We can really feel the belly moving against the mat in this pose. So as you begin breathing a little longer, a little slower, a little deeper, you'll tactically feel it, feeling the floor against the belly moving against the floor. Just take a few breaths here. Allow yourself to really melt in here. You may notice that this pose is a little bit of a back bend. So maybe sending your attention to your low back and just make sure you don't feel any kind of crunchy sensations there. And you may want to stay here for a few more breaths, but if you would like to intensify this back bend, you can come up to Sphinx pose. So we're going to stack the shoulders about over the elbows here and the forearms about parallel to the long side of the mat. And now the feet are about hip width and the tops of my feet are down on the floor. Just taking a few breaths here and feel a little bit of engagement between the shoulder blades, so I'm not just dumping down into it, I'm supporting myself by engaging that area between the shoulder blades. A few breaths here, we can still feel the belly moving against the mat. You can always stay down in crocodile if this is not feeling quite right for you or for your low back, especially if you're here. Just have the thought of lifting up and out of the low back. So just if you're comfortable here, just taking a few breaths here. And if not, you can either go back down to crocodile or eventually push back into child's pose, because that's where we're going next. So pushing back into our child's pose, we'll take the hands about parallel with the chest and then push back, hips toward heels. Take the knees out, the big toes together. And just give it a few breaths here. Think of lengthening and deepening each inhale and each exhale as you're here. And just notice how you feel. Maybe check in with how you're doing emotionally. See if something keeps coming up for you. And just observe. Take a big inhale, inhale, inhale. And then we'll sigh it out through the mouth, just letting go here, forehead to the mat, if it's not there already. Good. So knowing you can come back to child's pose at any time during your yoga practice, let's come up to a tabletop position, hands and knees here. And we'll do a couple of rounds of cat and cow pose. So we'll inhale to take the chest forward, the tailbone high, squeeze the shoulder blades towards each other. As we exhale, we're going to tuck, we're going to round into a cat shape. So inhaling into cow, exhaling to stretch between the shoulder blades, let the head hang. A couple more rounds here. And then your next exhale, well, again, sit it back into child's pose. This time we'll leave the knees a little bit closer together and reach the arms back. The forehead comes to the floor. Maybe even giving yourself a little sway back and forth. Just see how you feel here in our traditional child's pose. And then as you're ready, we'll come to hands and knees position once more. From there, we take the hands forward, maybe an inch or two, tuck the toes under, and take it up to a nice downward facing dog here. Allowing it to be nice and loose and fluid, just pedaling out the heels, giving the head a little shake. Seeing what's going on with that neck. See if you can let the head be a little heavier. And then as we inhale, let's come to both sets of tiptoes here. As we exhale, taking the heels toward the mat, just as far as they want to go. Push back with that arm strength. Chest comes toward the thighs. And to check in with our core muscles, let's take a look up at our belly button on that next exhale. As we inhale, we're going to look forward between the hands. And then as we exhale, we're going to take a nice walk forward till the feet land about between the hands. Then we're going to grab the elbows and simply sway it out side to side. Allow the knees to be soft. Bending a little, straightening a little. Again, allowing the head to be heavy. Take a big inhale here. And then as we exhale, the hands just fall wherever they want to land, maybe giving the head another little shake. As we inhale, let's unroll. Think slow, one vertebra at a time. Take the entire inhale to come up. End of the inhale, palms touch overhead, and exhaling, taking it to heart center. In a prayer position, the thumbs come in toward the heart. Maybe close the eyes here for a moment. And again, just check in, see how you feel. See if you've got equal balance going on between the feet, equal weight, and then equal pressure between the hands. Take a big inhale. And as we exhale, let's take the hands down, palms forward, just fluttering the eyes open and finding something ahead of you to focus your gaze on, your drishti. Right now we're breathing mostly through the nose if that's practical for you to enable the breaths to be really long, slow, and deep. But most importantly, we want to make sure to keep breathing deeply. So we'll launch into a little sun salutation C. Before we do that, we'll do a little warm up on our balance. So from here, we'll shift into the right foot and exhale to hug that left knee into the chest. Again, just sending your gaze towards something that's not moving, softly. Breathing deeply, feeling those little wobbles happening. Take a big inhale. And as we exhale, we're going to set that left foot down, grounding in through that left foot now, and inhaling to float the right foot, hugging that right shin in. See if you can really find your full height here. Keep breathing deeply. Big inhale. And then we exhale and set it down. Great. Let's inhale, the arms rise. And we exhale to fold forward. Think hinging from the hips here. Inhaling to a flat back number 7 shape, hands on the shins. And exhaling, the knees bend. We're going to send that left foot all the way down. Hands bring that front foot, that left foot all the way back, I mean. So that back knee comes down. We're going to inhale to Anjaneyasana. So the arms come up. Anjali is the heart shines forward. As we exhale, the hands come down, and we're going to sit it back, little variation, into a quarter split. We'll start with that front foot flexed, and then pointed. Flex it, and pointed. And then somewhere in there, see where it feels good to move the foot side to side. We end in a nice flex here. Take a big inhale. As we exhale, we'll walk the hands forward and take that right foot back. Nice strong plank here. Take a big inhale. And as we exhale, knees, chest, and chin come to the floor, and your elbows hug in for pranam or inchworm pose. Hips stay in the air. And then we inhale to peel it forward, finding our little baby cobra. Lift up out of the low back here, tops of the feet on the floor. Exhaling, we push it back into downward facing dog. Deep breaths here. As we inhale, let's look forward between the hands. As we exhale, that left foot steps forward, back knee comes down. We inhale to rise, finding a back bend. And exhaling to frame that front foot, and we'll sit it back into that quarter splits again. Flex a little, point a little. See what feels like it needs a stretch here, and somewhere along the way, waving that foot side to side. All right, from here we'll crawl the hands back forward, and then picking up from those back right toes, exhaling forward to Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhaling to unroll, think one vertebra at a time, and the inhale sends the palms to touch. Exhale to heart center. Let's try that other side. We'll up the tempo just a little bit. Inhaling to rise, exhaling to fold forward, hinging from the hips. Inhaling to a flat back here, and then exhaling, the hands plant, knees bend, and that right foot shoots all the way back. Back knee comes down, inhaling to rise. Anjaneyasana, shining the heart, and exhaling the hands down, sitting it back into a quarter splits. Think of wrapping that left hip in a direction behind you. Just moving the foot around a little bit. And then crawling the hands back forward, finding your plank. Big inhale in that plank, nice and strong. Exhaling, knees, chest, and chin come to the floor, elbows hug in. Inhaling to take the chest forward, tops of the feet to the floor, squeeze shoulder blades together. And exhaling into downward facing dog. Shooting the tailbone up toward the ceiling. Deep breaths, inhaling to look forward between the hands, exhaling, right foot steps forward, back knee comes down. Inhaling to find your Anjaneyasana. Exhaling to take it down and back to quarter splits. See what feels nice to your leg, to your foot, moving that foot around. Waving and then crawling it forward. Coming up onto the back toes and stepping it forward, exhaling here. Inhaling to unroll, think one vertebra at a time, and the inhale sends palms to touch, and exhaling to heart center. Okay, now we're launching to some of these lovely standing poses. So go ahead and take your hands to the hips, and just this idea of pressing down. Fingers are on the hip joints here. If you press down a little bit, you can really feel kind of that grounding energy and real solid in the feet. Toes can relax here. And then send the weight a little bit more into that right foot. And we're going to inhale, release that pressing of the hands, and inhale that left leg to float. As we exhale, let's send that left foot all the way back, finding a crescent warrior here. Crescent warrior, the back heel is up. Hands come up. And then think of sending the front heel and the back toes towards each other isometrically here, which really helps the balance and the solidity of this pose. Take a big inhale here, and then as we exhale, hands come back to the hips, and we're going to turn that back foot about parallel to short side of mat. Those back toes can be slightly forward. We want an internal rotation on the back leg and an external rotation on that front thigh especially. So think of the thigh wrapping outward into warrior two. Front knee, right knee reaches toward the pinky toe here. Arms aren't out for nothing. There's a lot of strength going on there. As we inhale, let's straighten out that front knee coming into sky archer pose. Right fingertips reach back behind you, left hand down the back thigh. As we exhale, let's come into a T position with the hands and lean forward. Left hip zhuzhes back, right fingertips reach forward. And then reach your edge with that stretch before you take it around. You might even want to take that block under the right hand, choosing your height, or simply rest the hand somewhere on the leg. You don't have to go too far down to feel this pose and to feel that stretch. Matter of fact, if my left hip starts torquing downward, then I probably want to come up a little bit higher. So from our triangle, we'll come into a balancing half moon. So we're going to take this block forward, right hand on the block or on the floor, and then left arm reaches high, left leg floats. Hips are open here, back foot is flexed. Take a big inhale here in our Ardha Chandrasana. And then as we exhale, we're going to come to a wide leg stance, and then we're going to crawl toward that left foot. So see if those hands want to frame that left foot. Those left toes are turned out. Here we go into Skandasana. Nice stretch for the hips and glutes here. And you don't have to come down quite this far. You could always have the hands down and be up a little bit higher. Try to telling myself this. Think of a long spine here. Caught myself hunching over. All right, from here, we're gonna begin to crawl the hands toward the back side of the mat, and then left foot, bring it about parallel to the long side of the mat. We're gonna walk the right back foot forward, about 45 degrees or so. Good, and you can grab that block or book that's at the back of the mat here and place it by the big toe side of the foot. So place that left hand on that left hip. Think of wrapping that left hip back behind you. Okay. Or you can even place that hand on the low back, see if those hips are level. About 2 or 3 feet between the feet. You can always bring them closer, and then revolve triangle. We're gonna take that left arm high. And then from here, we're going to go to revolved half moon. So you can take that block forward and then begin to float that right leg. Flex that back foot. Try not to grip with the toes here. You've got plenty of support with the props. You can even move to a wall or use your chair for support here if you're feeling wobbly. From here, we're going to step it back And walk the hands back over to the right foot, taking a skandasana on this side. So skandasana over that right knee. Just feeling how it might feel different on either side. And then we'll curl the hands to frame that right front foot. Then we'll lift that left leg into standing splits. Shake out the head here. Big inhale here in that standing splits. And then we'll exhale to take that left knee in toward the nose. Crouching here, we're supported by the hands. And then just see if you might want to shoot up. Coming into that pillar pose, hugging that knee in. Now we're standing on one foot, that right foot. And maybe you want to take a tree pose here. So the left foot would come onto that right thigh or onto the right calf, or making a little kickstand with the foot. Tree pose. I'm going to turn towards you so you can see what's going on here. And once we've settled into this, again, feel free to get the support of a wall or of a chair next to you. Feel those wobbles, and that balance might settle in or it might not. But we're going to breathe through it. Maybe if we're ready, we inhale to grow those branches, the arms high. And then we exhale, we take it all the way down. Coming to standing here at the front of our mat. And we'll try the standing sequence on the other side. So feeling solidly grounded into both feet, remembering to keep those toes relaxed, but lots of surface area on the foot, each foot just coming into the floor. Now we're going to ground into that left foot, placing the hands on the hips, inhaling to float that right knee, and then we're going to exhale it back into a crescent warrior. Okay. Again, we're going to isometrically send the front foot and the back foot towards each other to help with our balance here. Arms up if you're ready, and take a big inhale here. As we exhale, hands come to the hips, and we're going to turn that back right foot about parallel to the short side of the mat, but turned in slightly, coming into warrior two on this side, reaching it out fingertips to fingertips. You can do a little squeeze between the shoulder blades here. I love turning the palms up in this pose and feeling that engagement between the shoulder blades, and then try to keep that as you turn the palms back down. It actually does help keep the shoulders down away from the ears as well. Helping the neck be nice and long and free. So from here, we'll inhale into Sky Archer, right hand down the back thigh, reach the left fingertips back. And exhaling into a T position with the arms. Take the right hip in a direction behind you as you reach the left fingertips forward. And reaching that edge before we take it around. The left hand comes to the shin, or maybe even to the thigh, or to your block or book. Reaching that right arm high, and if our neck is okay with this, we can look up at that top hand. Then we're going to see about taking flight here, moving the block forward or just the hand on the floor. Left hand down, right leg floats, right arm reaches high. Flexing that back foot like you're reaching into or kicking into a wall behind you. And if you caught that, I just used my chair for balance. Sometimes it helps to just touch something lightly, like, okay, now I'm back. Good. Big inhale here. And as we exhale, let's come out of it, coming to a wide leg stance, and then we'll point the right toes toward the corner of the mat here and take ourselves down mindfully into a skandasana, that squat. Yeah. Just breathing into the hips and glutes here. And then I'm gonna walk my hands to frame my right foot. I'm going to walk that left back foot in till the feet are about 2 to 3 feet apart. Right, have that block or book handy, place it by that right big toe. And then that right thumb could come into the crease of that right hip, and we're just wrapping that right hip in a direction behind you. Feel free to adjust the feet. Seeing if you can leave the hips level as we rotate into revolved triangle. Right arm comes high, right hip keeps wrapping behind you. Intense stretch here, as well as a twist. Think of twisting from the belly button, keeping the chest as open as you can, and then we'll take that block or just the hand forward on the floor, and then lifting that left leg, floating it into revolved half moon. Big inhale here. As we exhale, we come back to center and begin to crawl the hands over, back toward the front of the mat. Left foot comes down. And then we'll come into that skandasana once more at the front of the mat now, over that left leg. Flexing that right foot and try not to collapse into this. I'm trying to come up and out, which gets more challenging the lower you go in this pose, but keeping the spine long. Great. And from here, we're going to crawl the hands back more toward the front of the mat. Left toes face the front short side of the mat now, and standing split. So right leg comes high, big inhale. And then as we exhale, right knee comes toward the nose. We're crouching in and feel that core. And then just maybe see if you want to just shoot up into balancing pillar pose, hugging that right shin. And just almost like giving yourself a hug here. It's good for balance, but it's also a nice stretch for the low back. And then see if you'd like to come into tree on this side. So that would be the right foot into the left thigh, or into the calf, or making a little, I've heard this referred to as a bonsai tree, the little kickstand. But avoid placing the foot right on the knee joint, because we just don't want to put pressure on that knee joint. Want to keep it happy. Breathing deeply here. Again, we're sending our gaze towards something that's not moving. Continuing to breathe deeply, maybe growing those branches, reaching those arms high. Take a big inhale. And then as we exhale, the hands come down. We release the foot down. We step it out side to side. Nice. Okay. And from here, we'll come down into one more squat, taking the feet about hip width, well, a little wider than hip width apart. And we're going to track the knees right over the toes here, yogi squat. Good. And then gently lowering yourself down with the support of the hands. Great. From here, we're going to have your strap handy. And Dandasana, or staff pose, is an incredibly grounding pose. And it's really good for posture, especially if you've been sitting at the computer a lot, like we all have. So The hands are going to come by the sides, right by the hips, and we're going to flex the feet a lot. The legs are just out in front of you. And then press through the quads, keep flexing the feet. The heels might even come up off the floor a little bit. Think of the thighs wrapping inward towards each other. From here, we feel those sit bones really anchor down. And again, we try to find full height through the spine. Think of squeezing those shoulder blades towards each other again and making a little space in the chest area. And now perhaps a contraction through the core, through the belly button area, maybe even the pelvic floor. Right, so we're really hugging muscle to bone here, hugging everything inward. And now we can relax on out of it. Nice. So that was Dandasana or staff pose. And from there, if you don't have issues with the sciatic nerve, we can come into a forward fold here. If you do have any issues with sciatica, I would recommend coming down onto your back here and doing some leg stretches that way with the strap. But if you're all right here, we're going to stay in that Dandasana or staff pose and take the strap or belt or towel, just place it around the balls of both feet. So just right under the toes. And then we're going to take a big inhale. As we exhale, think of where you were in that Dandasana staff pose, especially engaging through the core here. And then we're going to take it forward. So keep breathing. Maybe as we inhale, we make a little bit of a pause. It doesn't have to be quick at all. This is a chill yoga practice. Each exhale might draw you in just a little bit deeper, but try to keep the spine long. Feel that sensation through the backs of the legs and keep pressing through the quads. Great to have this awareness of what's going on in our musculature. Maybe you start reaching for the feet, but the strap helps keep that spine nice and long here. Big inhale, big exhale to pull ourselves in. Maybe that last exhale, if your low back is okay with this, just rounding forward gently. And then inhaling to take ourselves back up. Great, so we're going to take that lovely engagement we were just practicing through the core and through that space between the shoulder blades. We're going to take it up into Navasana, boat pose. So first off, we're going to place the hands by the sides a little bit back. And as we engage through that core, we're going to take the legs up, bending through the knees here at first. And again, just squeezing that space through the shoulder blades, between the shoulder blades. If you're feeling okay here, we can release the fingertips forward and maybe begin to straighten the knees. So experiment and see where you want to be here to really get a lot of core engagement. As we exhale, we're going to take the hands back behind you, take the feet down about hip width apart, and we're going to inhale to take the hips high. Might feel nice to let the head drop back here, or not. Big inhale. As we exhale, we'll take it back down, and then we'll make a flow out of this. Right, inhaling Navasana, boat pose. Exhaling here, just keep breathing. And then as we exhale, we'll place the hands back, fingertips forward, inhaling the hips high. Exhaling it back down, inhaling the legs back up, Navasana, breathing deeply. Exhaling the feet down, inhaling, reverse table. Pushing the butt higher, maybe this time. And exhaling one more time, Navasana, boat pose. And from here, let's hover maybe halfway down and then see how slowly we can roll down all the way to the floor. Good. Might want to windshield wiper out the legs here, side to side. And then we'll place the hands right by the hips here. The feet are about hip width apart. We'll inhale to take the hips up. Make sure you're not looking side to side here. And exhaling to come on down. Think rolling down one vertebra at a time. It's almost like a little back massage. Gotta love it. Good, we're gonna go twice more, just inhaling to take the hips high. Maybe even a little bit higher this time, puff out the chest, and then exhaling to take it down. Think one vertebra at a time. Let's take it one more time here. As we inhale, we're going to take the hips high. Good, and this time, begin to walk the shoulder blades towards each other. And we're going to interlace the hands right behind the back if that feels okay for you. Again, remembering not to look side to side here. We're going to take the hips up maybe a little higher, really push through the butt. Really let the chest puff high. And then we exhale, giving ourselves a hug across the chest here, taking it all the way down. Once our low back is all the way down, we can loosely just take the knees side to side, windshield wipering them out. And as we let them sway side to side, we start taking them a little bit farther on each side. And then eventually we just let them land over on the right, a nice loose supine twist. So just breathing into this here, readjusting to make it feel really good. And then inhaling it to center. Again, take it, waving it side to side. And then eventually, however many times it takes, till it feels really good to just let them land over on the left. Knees left, and we look over to the right. Feel free to readjust the feet and the legs. Arms are out wide to a T. As we inhale, we'll take it back towards center. Again, a little windshield wiper out. And then eventually we'll come over onto our sides. And then that stool or chair we were talking about at the beginning of the practice, let's go ahead and grab that, or just get the mat really near to that place you're gonna put the legs up on. So whatever you've got to put your legs up, we're just gonna scoot the butt really close to it, and it could be a wall too, if you'd like to put your legs up the wall. But finding a support that's gonna feel really nice to your low back. And taking the butt really close to it, and then swinging the legs up onto whatever you've got. And then feeling the areas of your body that are now hugging into the floor. Allowing them to fully relax. Taking the pressure off of the lower body here. Taking the pressure off of the legs. Just getting into the sensation of the legs being really light, being weightless, feet relaxing. And the legs relaxing, the hips and the belly. Letting go. If you're feeling like you'd be more comfortable in just a full-on Shavasana, lying down face up, just get to a place that's comfortable for you, where you can really relax and let go. And then continue to soften through the belly, through the chest, through the low back and the upper back. Allow that relaxation to travel up into the throat and down through the shoulders, the collarbones, through the arms and the hands and the wrists. And then continuing to take that relaxation up through the jaw, through the mouth, through the muscles of the face, the eyes, to the forehead. And just giving yourself another few moments here. Stay here as long as you would like. And whenever you're ready, eventually if those feet are up, those legs are up, just rolling over onto your side, coming to rest there, and just taking a moment to feel truly supported and held by the floor and the earth beneath you. And then just taking your time to push yourself up gently from the hands and come to a comfortable seat. Just seeing how you feel here. Knowing that we are feeling perhaps a little bit calmer, perhaps a little bit more relaxed, and ready to just face whatever's coming with a smile and with a deep breath. Thank you so much for joining me for some yoga. Namaste.